Hey, welcome to 6 Degrees North Country Living. I'm your host, Greg O'Connor, and thank you for tuning in again today. Before we get started, I'd like to tell you a little bit about me. I was born in California. My dad was in Vietnam, so I was born off the base. When he got back, we moved to his hometown in Butte, Montana, where I grew up, and I was a happy wee lad doing sports and enjoying the great outdoors, hunting and fishing. My parents split when I was around 14 or 15, and I ended up in Spokane, Washington with my mother. I graduated high school and then went to college for a short period and joined the workforce. Done all of it. Fishing boats, a union iron worker, doorman, worked on farms and ranches as labor, stockyards, you name it. I've tried it. If it sounded like fun and interesting to me, I did it. I figured the best way to learn was getting paid to do it. After that, I fell in love and met my wife, Amanda, and we have 3 beautiful children. I love hunting and fishing, working in the garden, working on my house, numerous little projects, and I dislike the big box stores, all of them. Dislike traffic, and I guess just rude people. So a little bit about me, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. As promised, a new song and a guest. Here's the new song, 6 Degrees North Country Living. Love ya. Sitting by the campfire, just a few friends and me. I don't care how cold or late it gets, I've got no place to be. And pass me a cold one and I'll tell another lie about the hunting and the fishing underneath the Montana sky. I'm gonna fly across the Great Divide, and I'm gonna get high in the big, big sky, and I'm gonna die about a mile high. And before I go, I'm gonna cherish this life. Fire's burning low, my friends, you better stoke up the flame and play all night, 'cause we don't know when we can do it again. And pass me the bottle and I'll sing another song about those women I've desired underneath the Montana sky. I'm gonna fly across the Great Divide, and I'm gonna get high in a big, big sky, and I'm gonna die about a mile high. And before I go, I'm gonna cherish this life. Sitting by the campfire, just a few friends and me. Everyone's sleeping now, they're gonna miss the show. The purples, the reds, the yellows are reflecting off a lake, and the sun is rising high into a Montana sky. I'm gonna fly across the Great Divide, and I'm gonna get high, about a mile high, and I'm gonna die in a big, big sky. And before I go, I'm gonna cherish this life. Before I go, I'm gonna cherish this life. Welcome back to 6 Degrees North Country Living. As promised, Lisa's on the show today. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
And we were just talking about how to keep warm right now.
Yes.
We got our cold snap finally, so we're probably, 2 weeks for really cold weather now?
Yes, and it's windy today too, which makes it even worse.
Oh, I know. It cuts right through you. I have you on the show. I know everybody's trying to keep warm. Most of us aren't really thinking about getting our garden going. Which,
no, no, it doesn't. Nothing outside makes you think garden right now.
No, it doesn't.
No.
But actually, you're getting your list together and getting some things going, right?
I am. So right now, I think is the perfect time to go through your catalogs and kind of think over what you did last year that you liked and you didn't like. Maybe change some varieties you have, and definitely order your seeds, because before you know it, the good stuff is sold out.
Sure. Now, are you focusing in on more cut flowers or vegetables?
I am. So when I first started out, I did more vegetables than cut flowers, and I found that people just love the cut flowers.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got a favorite. You know?
It is.
I'm the dahlias and magnolias. I love them too. I mean,
yes.
Everybody's got their thing.
They do. But I started growing more and more cut flowers, and what I found is that a lot of people grow the vegetables and stuff at the farmers markets, and there aren't as many flower offerings. And sure. I mean, there are for sure sunflowers, but there's no bouquets of just fresh prairie flowers.
Sure.
It's all just your sunflowers typically in the market, or gladiolas. People have the
gladiolas.
I
like the gladiolas.
Yes.
But mine never turn out well. They're always wilted, and I've never had a lot of luck for the layout.
Like wilted within the garden?
Yep.
Or yeah, everything likes full sun, and so if you can get them full sun, you really want to focus on that, and just if they're wilted, I would say they're probably underwatered.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a good chance around here. Now, you were telling me that you're getting ready to wash out your containers and stuff. Is that important to clean containers?
It is. So my containers right now from the spring planting are just all stacked up, and there's even some soil and debris in them.
Sure.
And so you do want to kind of shake that out. You also want to get them cleaned. And so how I clean them is I get a spray bottle, and you have to find like a chemical spray bottle. You can get them at like Home Depot or any kind of hardware store.
A little heavier duty.
A little heavier duty, because the other's a spray nozzle gets eaten up. And I do a one part bleach and then 10 parts water solution, and you spray it and you just let it sit to dry. You don't dry it out, otherwise the chemical doesn't have time to work.
So don't rinse it out.
You don't rinse it out.
Oh, okay.
No, and the sun does bleach, or does degrade that bleach away, so you don't have to worry about that. But you do want to sanitize it, otherwise you'll get diseases growing in there, fungal diseases, bacterial diseases, and that you'll think like, oh, where did all my plants come? And it just might be, and you might give up, but it might just be because your containers were dirty.
Nice. Now, because you do vegetables and cut flowers, you keep your flowers around for bug control too. Is that another good point?
I do, yes. Yeah. So when I when I planted my garden last year, I did about half vegetables and half cut flowers because I started moving over the cut flowers and I was a little nervous to do all. But this year I'm doing almost all.
Nice.
But I did every other row. So I did vegetables and then I did cut flowers and then I did a vegetable. And that way you kind of slow down the insects like a cucumber beetle from going from your squash to your tomatoes because it has to pass through these flowers that have maybe a lace bug or something that will help eat them or attack them and so it really helps with controlling your pests.
Well, there you have it. I'm going to plant more cut flowers next year.
Yeah.
I mean, what are some of the easy beginners for me?
Yes.
I mean, I love my gardens, but I'm more of a kind of throw it out there, spray it out there, give her one good weed eating, and then kind of let her go.
I highly suggest zinnias and celosias, which are another name for those are coxcombs. But zinnias are a cut and come again. They're a huge workhorse in the garden. They do okay with a little bit of drought and stuff. They also don't die. They're not super sensitive. And the bugs don't devour them too bad. The only bad thing about them really is powdery mildew at the end of the year, but everything by that time tends to get powdery mildew. But the Benary variety of them tends to resist that quite a bit, so they last even longer.
Okay.
Yeah. But any flowers that bush, like a zinnia, you want to actually prune them. So as they start to grow, when they get to be about 8 inches high, you actually take off the first 2-3 inches of the plant because then it grows. If you're doing it for cut flowers, they'll grow out more instead of up, and then you'll get nice long stems instead of kind of shorter ones on a taller.
So you actually really want to lop them off there,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, you just want to take off the first 2 to 3 inches.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great.
When you talked about the watering and having an issue with watering,
now
it's so easy, I think, to kind of make it mindless in a way with all the timers that they have out there. I also use a drip irrigation system, we did that all ourselves. It's really easy to do, and you just get a black tubing, and then you just poke holes in it where your drip irrigation goes down, and you just put that on timers.
Your bib on your side of your house, or a pump, maybe.
Yeah. And my biggest problem is I'll turn it on, and then I'll get busy with the kids. You're like, oh my gosh, it was watering for 2 or 3 hours. But there's timers that can, you turn it on for an hour. You want to have everything water for at least a good hour, and you just turn it on for that hour, and then you go do your thing, and boom, it's done.
Well, that's. I mean, why?
So now you have no excuse now to have your wilting gladiolas.
So after we have our cups and our little planters all cleaned up, what's next?
So I prefer to grow them to start my seeds indoors. So seed, you get just a much better germination rate when they're indoors. You can do it outside.
I'm a thrower. I mean, dig a hole and throw them in.
Yeah, but when I only have 15 tomato seeds and I want to, so seeds last for about 3 years, and I want to say, okay, I want to plant, a 5 this year. I don't want to just throw them. I want those 5 to come up. And so I make my own soil. I find it's a lot cheaper than buying the seed starting stuff.
Are you going to grace everybody with your recipe for soil?
It's not a secret.
The coveted recipe.
Yes, I am. It is a soilless recipe, and I actually got it online at a university. So I really like to look at information from extension offices. They test things and kind of do their own experiments. They don't have any ties to Miracle-Gro or something that's selling. So I feel like it's really authentic information. And what I like to do is I use just peat moss. And so peat moss is not a soil, and what it is nice and big. So when you want to start seedlings, you want something fluffy and that holds water, and peat moss is just a huge water guzzler. And then I mix it with vermiculite or perlite, and that's just, vermiculite is just clay, larger kind of clay particles, and vermiculite is just little rocks of volcanic rock. So either one, and that puts holes in it to make sure that there's air. So with
You could almost do like a hydroponics with that kind of mixture then, huh?
I don't know about hydroponics, but for the verlite or permaculite, you might be able to.
Sure.
But with
I so bad want to do a living wall. I mean, that would be so cool. But
right, you can just go by and just eat as
Yeah.
you walk out the
Oh,
door.
no,
You
grab
save
a
some
handful
time.
of salad.
Yes,
That'd be great.
yes. But with the peat moss, you do have to get it wet before you put it into your containers because it will actually dehydrate your plants because it just wants and it'll absorb. You'll put a bucket of water in there and you'll be like, you think there's a hole in your container because you're like, where'd it all go? 'Cause
Just pouring it in the
yeah,
in this pit.
I do. I actually do it in a Tupperware. And so then I just take a 5-gallon bucket of water, I dump it in, I mix it up with my hands. You could do a shovel, and you make sure it's nice and wet. And then you add your vermiculite or perlite, or if you want, you could even do sand, something to kind of give it drainage. Sand is just heavy, and so I don't like to lift more than I need to.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear ya.
So then you just put your seeds in, and I do 1 per thing, or you could do 2. And if you do 2, you don't want your seeds right next to each other because you do usually want to thin it to 1. And if you thin it to 1 and they're right next to each other, you can actually accidentally rip up one of the 2.
Tear the roots right off the one. Sure.
Yeah, or just pull it up with it because you do have that light, airy mixture. And I like to put it on just like a wire shelving unit that's super easy to put together, and I hang LED lights like 2-3 inches away from the top. I put a dome over them, and they usually tell you the germination. In a few days you got some little plants coming up. You take the dome off, boom, you got them.
You're ready to go. You're getting ready to transplant. Do you I've heard some people actually check the soil outside before to see if they need to address any lack of chemicals. I mean, is that something
so
you do?
now is a good time actually to do soil testing, and you send it into your extension office. So you're not looking at your soil after you already have your plants and saying, oh, I need to amend it. You can actually do that beforehand, because when you have to transplant, it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of time,
Right,
and
right.
you don't have time to also amend, so it's nice to kind of spread out your workload
Well, there you go.
over time.
That's I would have never thought, but
Yeah.
definitely now would be the good time to get your soil taken care of and built
Yes.
up and ready for the transplant.
Yeah, and a thing too is you get these seedlings, and you do all this work, you take care of them and water them. You don't want to just go throw them out in your garden either. They'll burn up. It's like me. I'm white and pasty, and I go down to Florida, I get a rash. I can't be out in the sun.
So
I
you
burn
need-
up.
You need to get under the tanning lights a little
You
bit.
do. You need to get used to it. And plants are actually the same way. And so
Put
you
a little
want
lotion on their leaves.
lotion doesn't work. No. But you want to set them out for just a couple of hours and then bring them back in. And this is like a 2-week process, and you slowly increase the time they have out in the sun till they're out in the sun all day and all night.
Well, what do you start with? 15 minutes?
No.
In a tanning bed? Or?
No, I do 2 hours. So I start out with
okay.
2 hours for a couple of days, and then I increase that to 3 or 4 hours, and then you just slowly increase that as you go. Yeah, and just make sure don't give up. It's the cheapest thing to do, and it's so gratifying when your kids can go out and eat, or you make a soup and it's all your tomatoes, and
They take great pictures too. I mean,
they do. They
you
do.
see
Very
everybody's
pretty.
garden on Facebook, you
Yeah.
know, but I enjoy that. I mean, that's the kind of the good thing about Facebook.
It is.
you know.
So get outside, get dirty. For a package of seeds, that's $3. If it all dies, well, it's a pretty cheap $3, but you had some great experiences.
I can't wait. Lisa, thank you so much
Yes,
for coming on.
spring's
And
coming, right?
We're going to make it. We're going to
Yeah.
make it. This is 6 Degrees North Country Living. Here's another song for you guys. Y'all heard it. It's called Jasmine. It's about flowers, so it's fitting. Love it. Send me roses and they wilted away. They just weren't meant to keep. Send me daisies and I fell in love with you. But they don't smell near as sweet. And if there's one thing I'll remember you by, It's that sweet jasmine scent. And if there's one thing I'll remember you by, it's that sweet jasmine scent. And the violet you planted here, pale compared to your eyes, and the lilies remind me of all of your elegance. And if there's one thing I'll remember you by, it's that sweet jasmine scent. And if there's one thing I'll remember you by, it's that sweet jasmine scent. Tulips catch all my tears now, since you haven't been around. And wildflowers spring eternally, since our love wasn't meant to be. And if there's one thing I'll remember you by, it's that sweet jasmine scent. And if there's one thing I'll remember you by, it's that sweet jasmine scent.